So what I suppose what got me thinking even more is Black Lives Matter. It's made me want to the cat. Hello,
Such a pig.
hello.
No point in even fighting because she's.
I think when it comes to the Black Lives Matter movement, it's made me want to educate myself more because I've not educated as much as I'd like to. It's made me put more attention to what things not to ignore. For example, Black women. I feel like in the past I've maybe not stuck up for Black women as much as I should, and I need to take accountability for that. But I just think again it just goes back to education. I think it really is. Because it is ignored, and I feel like Black women are ignored more than anything in terms of beauty, in terms of fashion, in terms of hair. Don't get me wrong, they're all out there, and I'm not saying that there isn't Black women icons that are out there that are doing the damn thing, because there absolutely is. But I feel like there could be a lot more televised, shown, and to get rid of all these stereotypes, man. I really do think it's a movement. But I think, yeah, what drove me further into doing all this sort of stuff is Black Lives Matter. And the fact that it's infuriating me seeing so many awful comments that I'm seeing online.
Isn't it strange to kind of have that awakening for yourself? Kind of, even me, kind of looking back and thinking about all the times that if someone did touch my hair and I let them even though I didn't want them to, and it's kind of like all these, even me wanting to kind of have my hair really really straight, and why is that what I want? Is that, or is that what's been taught to me? And when you kind of realize you have to kind of strip back everything that you've been taught to feel about yourself and actually think for yourself, and see the beauty in you in a society that has taught you to not love yourself.
And I think there's loads of scenarios where you could sit down with yourself and go, you know what, I wish I would have said something. And I've said this a few times about that, when you're looking at your past experiences and you're thinking, damn man, and it still cuts me up some of the things that I've allowed in the past, and I've actually been an enabler. I've been the person that's accepted it or maybe encouraged it when I shouldn't have. So, and again, that's everyone, including myself. When I'm saying take accountability, I'm speaking to myself as well, because there is so many stories in the past. But then again, is it your responsibility, Jade, to speak out on them subjects when everyone else should be educated, including yourself? Do you know what I mean? It's like, I have this battle of, do I educate this person that is attacking me or attacking Black people? Or do I just think on to the next one? I'm conflicted.
I know exactly what you mean. It is kind of a case where I shouldn't actually have to go out of my way to teach you something that is just, to me, basic.
It's basic.
You can't be looking at everything through your eyes. Kind of have compassion, look at it from a different point of view. But then, society's not set up that way. Society's taught you the perception and how you should see things. But I think what gets me more mad is when we actively speak up and then we're challenged. It's kind of like, I've said what I've said. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree completely. And it's a great point that you've made. The fact that I did a piece on BBC, as you know, and it was only a 3-minute thing. And I was told by the BBC that some of the stuff that you can and can't say, pretty much you have to be palatable to white people, which was a bit surprising to me because we're speaking on racism. So there is certain stories or certain narratives that I had to kind of box myself in to make sure that it's palatable, but at the same time educational. So the point that you just made there about speaking out and then being challenged on it, I put the piece, the BBC published it, and then it's got about 20 or 30,000 views on social media. And what I did, Jade, I was that person that started looking at the comments, and I looked at the first 10 comments or something like that, and people, and I'm looking at their faces, and it was white people are just picking on the smallest thing on there, not even thinking about the full story, and just not validating my story. So after the 10 comments, Jade, I switched off, and I had my team just fighting for me.
I
I
don't
just,
blame you.
yeah,
But I watched the thing and went on Facebook and I saw a couple of the comments and I found, because you was talking about how you had to be isolated,
oh, that's right,
um
yeah.
put in like isolated because your hair was in
Mm,
braids and it was or cane rows or
yeah,
whatever hair you had, and it was, and people was like, that's, I saw a couple of comments, it was like, that's the rules, it's the same rules for everyone. And it's kind of like, you're looking at this from a place where my mum can throw my hair up in a ponytail in 5 minutes. That's not what my hair does.
yeah.
And some hairstyles are there to, protect your hair, to make it easier for you, so more
Mm,
manageable. And it's kind of like it's all looked from your eyes and how you, you know,
mm.
perceive it.
And
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 that's,
black people's hair is not protected in Equality and Diversity Act 2010. I think. I don't think it's and I think it should be protected because it is part of you, and there is certain styles. Even I had to do research about it, and there was a story that got published in February of this year, and it was a young woman, a young black girl, and she was in school. She had an afro, right, and she was told she can't wear an afro. That is her natural hair.
that's her hair.
And the excuse that was saying was people can't see behind her. That was just one, and then there was another. I think there was another little boy, and he was a model, and he had his big hair, and he was told that he has to shave it off. I think it was. So this. If we're thinking about it, if you're wearing your natural hair and you're told that you can't have your natural hair, of course there needs to be policies and guidelines. And people saying, yeah, well, if I dye my hair pink, I'm not allowed that. It's not the same. Not at all. I just think the actual hair should be protected.
Yeah, that's got
And
nothing to do. Hair color's got nothing to do with hair texture and how your hair naturally grows out of your head. If
mm,
that's how your hair grows out of your head, there shouldn't be rules on that.
yeah,
That's
and I think,
how it is.
and again, I think the rules, policies, and guidelines when it comes to hairstyles is for European hair and what we consider as smart. There was another kid that had a skin fade in primary school, which is a smart haircut for a black man. It's sharp and it looks good.
It
So
does.
it looks good. Now this kid got sent home because he had a skin fade because it's against policy. Now maybe for European hair, it might be seen. I don't get hairstyles anyway in general. I feel like what's the difference? But European versus black hair, some hairstyles suit European hair, some don't. It's like having. I remember when I was younger, and the white guys had a certain hairstyles that I was jealous of. They'd have. I remember this style, yeah, where they had gelled front, yeah, and they had this flick shit back,
Oh
and like
my
this.
God.
And I'm like, yo, that seems all right. That, and I could never have that hairstyle, yeah. So and I'd never have that, and it just wouldn't go. So we need to understand the differences, but I don't think that's taught. I don't think.
I
I
think
don't.
I also think it's kind of like, cause an afro is um just so magical.
Mm,
It's kind of like it's put down as like you can't have that hairstyle, like it's too it it's almost like, because it's just that nice, it's
yeah,
seen
yeah,
as like a style, and it's like, no, that's how my hair grows out of my head. It's not a trend, and I know that
yeah,
you love it and it looks great, but it's not something, it's not a style. That's just how
yeah,
my hair is. And it's
yeah,
kind of it, and that's how it goes into the bracket. Like when you said, someone said, if I dye my hair pink, it's like that is a
that,
fashion choice, and that is
mm,
that. But if you deem our hair as a fashion choice, that's on you. But don't try
exactly.
and dim the magic. The
Yeah,
magic is
yeah,
just how it is.
yeah. And again, in terms of a male versus female, when it comes to black women and black males, you're in terms of your hairstyles, it could be so much more versatile than mine. I mean, I can only have an afro, or probably not now because I went bald and then had another operation. So I got my hair back.
You had your afro.
I had my afro. I could never have an afro again. But when I see these hairstyles, because, I mean, if we're going when it was naturally, when everyone was wearing afros out, that was their actual hair. And this is where we have been brainwashed to go. Afro hair is seen as not attractive. Afro hair is seen as not great or not tidy enough. So then we've adapted and done different hairstyles and made it fantastic and brilliant in other, shapes and forms. So it's so versatile, the hair that we can do. But it's just amazing how still in school today, a young black girl can have an afro and be sent home because of it. I thought that would just mean school, back in 2003 or 4. So I thought the times have probably changed now. Skip forward to 2020, Jade, and it's the same.
I can't believe that's happening in 2020. That must be in America. Is that in America?
No, that was UK. I'm talking all the stories that I give you then are in the UK.
What? He's got like dead long hair, and he's like a lion, and they've told him to
him.
Off. He's got dead long hair, a young boy, and they want him to cut his hair off. Yeah,
but what your mum said there is that a young boy he was a model.
Oh my god!
We have pictures. Yeah, these are all UK ones. I always specifically talk about the UK because a lot of people are comparing the US versus UK, and what they'll say is it's not that bad, or
if it's there, it's bad.
Yeah. So I always try and specifically talk about the UK because anyone could talk about the leaders that are in the US. Anyone could talk about the things that are going in the US because it's televised. So because it is televised, you'll be like, it's not bad. I saw there's been loads of facts and figures been thrown out there, and it talks about the prison, and it talks about people, the black people in stop and search. It talks about brutality and all that sort of stuff, and it's still present, and it's still at a disproportionate rate as ever. And again, I suppose predominantly looking at black males that get targeted quite high. And then there's a certain demographic as well. I think it's between 15 and 24 are the hot ages. But I think it was 45 and 1,000 get searched if you are a black male versus the 7 in 1,000 if you are a white male. So yeah, it's ridiculous, man. It really is, and it's upsetting, really, because
it is.
Yeah, and then it's 62% of the times when they was searching was for drugs and 2% knives. The Section 60 Act, and again, this is not me just knowing this stuff. I've had to research this, but it was Section 60 Act, which said that the police said it was a law that you can stop someone if you think they're being suspicious. If you're acting suspicious, they don't need a reason. I think it is. So fitting a stereotype, they're going to predominantly go to black people, and then what they found was only 2% of that was actually found to be criminal or to find knife crime or something like that. 2%, which means that it wasn't really a good law, so you might as well get rid of it, but they still got it. Yeah. So it was just stuff like this that really amazes me, man. It really does. Like the stop and search per 1,000, black is you're 9.7 times more likely to be searched.
Do you ever think laws like that were created to actually help?
1981. This. I didn't know if you knew this, Jade. And again, this is me having to do the research, and I've been ignorant in not knowing. But the sus law, right? So the sus law. I don't know if you've heard of it. Have you heard of the sus law? Right. So the sus.
Sorry, Mum. Really, stop interrupting me. Stop it. There is cheese. 1 second, Vin. Stop interrupting me. But I could use him as well. Not now. There is none. Oh my god. Do you know what, Vin? You're lucky. Like, if this was like a Zoom, an actual acting like interview, Can you believe that she's done this so many times? But it's actually being recorded for something important. So stop interrupting and piping up.
Listen, is the cheese sorted? That's all I want to know. Is the cheese sorted?
Is the cheese sorted? She stoned Vinny, and she's lost all filters of how to actually deal with someone in a meeting. Just pretend, forget that it's Vinny, and just stop.
That's too funny. This one's cheese. Right, let me get back to where I was.
Yeah, you have to start from.
I forgot where I was. I actually forgot where I was.
You was talking. Go back to the.
I'm
You was
still.
You're talking about like law.
Oh, it was
the
the law. It was the law. Oh, the sus law.
You said
the sus law.
1981.
1981, yeah. So the sus law basically said that you can stop someone if you think they're being suspicious. So they've stopped that now. I suppose Section 6 is similar, but this sus law in the 1980s, in the early 1980s, sparked a high percentage of police brutality because all they did was concentrate on the stereotypical black man and search for them, and then search whatever they wanted to search them for, if they thought they was being suspicious. What a ridiculous law! How does that pass? I don't get how that passed.
What is suspicious?
And that still happens
Walking down the
today.
street and just being black is suspicious.
And you know what, Jade? It happened to that black athlete in London. Don't know if you saw that. And then the mother was in the back with a 3-month-old child because the car was seen. There's a lot of cars in that description. I think they were seen that are drug dealers. I might be wrong in that, but I think that was the reason why they stopped the person. You know, and this is happening today. And it's a war. So it's a war in police brutality, and it's a war in the prison system for males. But then it's a different type of war for black women as well. Equally at war, but for different things. So it's a struggle, man.
Well, it's all ultimately just to be treated like a human being. All of it really stems to just treat me like a human being.
It's equal rights, man. It's equal rights. The amount of people that are not getting it, who reach out to me and you're asking questions. And sometimes, I'll be honest, Jade, it's like I haven't got that energy today to give. I'll give you some books and stuff, which they probably won't read. They want a quick fix. They want a quick answer. They want to go, what can I do now? How can I change it now? And the answer is, it's not gonna happen overnight, is it? It's not just gonna go, you know what? Let's just sort this out and then this will be okay. It's far more than that, man. It really is.
Well, it's kind of like when you said, you know, you're going out with your partner is our lovely Olivia, who is just queen of feminism. Yeah, queen. She's taught you kind of the little kind of things that you might have noticed that you was doing in terms of, you know, sexism, and it's kind of about reevaluating what it is you're doing from a kind of non-judgmental place. And I feel like you can't just switch it off.
I think it's important, the judgmental thing that you said there. Yeah, I think if you are not open-minded, you can't grow. You really can't. And if you are then presented with something that to check yourself and you're unable to see why that is not, or you've not gone away to do your own research, then you're a fool and you're never going to grow, which unfortunately that's going to happen with a lot of people. And me and Ollie have sat down and had many, many conversations and disagreements and you know, ways of looking at things where I've had to go away and check myself, and I can't speak for her, but I'm guessing she may have as well. Do you know what I mean? So it is what I've just seen the biggest bite of cheese. That was oh, sorry, go past like this. Funny. That was funny. But yeah, check it. I feel like we both had to check ourselves, and yeah, it's given me, you know, it gives me stuff to think about. I've got books and stuff that I'm reading. I'm trying to educate myself, man. I really am. Yeah. And you know, you're getting people are going, you're going in with this stuff, aren't you? I suppose so. Yeah, I am. Because I feel like I have to educate myself now, and I feel like education is power. And I don't know. I don't think I'm going too far with it.
But how can you go too far in education? Like that for
Yeah,
me is just such a like closed-minded comment. It's kind of
yeah,
like how can you go too far in wanting to understand? You can't.
yeah,
You just want to understand, and you know, the more you kind of want to understand, you want other people to understand, and then you get, you know, little microaggressions themselves going,
mm,
oh, you're really going for this, aren't you? And it's kind of like, why aren't you? Like,
yeah. And the industry that I've been involved with my whole life would say is rugby, and it's predominantly a white sport. Um, and you know, I've not seen one white guy. I've seen black guys within rugby because it's directly aimed at them, but I've not seen one white person shout out and be like, "We are with you," which is upsetting, really, because
I was gonna say, how
these are
does
my brothers. These are I've blood, sweat, and tears. I've done everything for these guys. And the fact that I'm just asking for to shout out about equality on reflection is quite upsetting. And if they was to turn around and go, well, I don't really want to get involved because I don't really know much about it. One, white privilege. Two, if you're thinking that way, then maybe you're happy with how things are now. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know if since Black Lives Matter, have you found people who you've known through association where you've had to disassociate yourself with?
um I'm lucky really in the sense that, you know, I keep my circle quite small.
Mm.
um I have kind of, you know, I've got my Instagram and things. I'm not actively looked, but kind of, you know, seeing if anybody's kind of, you know, backing
Yeah,
me, kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
thing, and backing the movement. And um, there are definitely people that you can weave out between who's really kind of like, wow, I didn't know this was happening, and now I want to
Mm.
be against it. And there's people that feel uncomfortable to support the movement, and it's kind of, it's two ways because it depends on the person that you are. um for some people that have never even kind of have only just started to see and acknowledge this,
Yeah.
you know putting a little post out is everything to them. They're not,
Mm.
you know, it's kind of about respecting people from understanding what people can do from where they're at, and
Mhm.
also noticing who's actively kind of dismissive and
Yes.
really thinking, what are you going
Against
on
it.
about? Yeah,
Yeah. Without actually asking the question.
yeah,
So don't jump down a person's throat who's posting the most about Black Lives Matter. Be open-minded, like you said. Don't be judgmental. Have a conversation with this person about why they're feeling the way they're feeling. Don't go with what about and what about this, and you're doing comparisons before you even thought about, because
mm,
you're not validating that person's story. You're not validating their feelings, their thoughts, because your experience is going to be a lot different from mine with childhood, with adulthood, with everything. Whether if it's the woman versus man, whether it's the black versus white, everyone has different walks of life, and everyone has struggles, and everyone goes through some shit, man. They really do.
yeah,
But take in consideration, step back from your ego, step back from what you think's right, and have a conversation, man. Because
yeah,
then, if you're not going to, then it's going to end up in war, and then where does that then leave us? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
how the hell is that going to? I would say how's it going to solve it, but unfortunately, in the past, everything's been solved through violence. Not everything, but a lot of stuff. If we're thinking about feminism, women's rights ended in violence, riots. If we're talking about gay rights, ended in violence, riots. So, and it's unfortunate, but
but it's the language of the unheard, as you know,
there we go. There we go. And I don't want
language
it
of
to end
the
like that. I
unheard.
don't condone violence, but at the same time, I don't condone inequality for the amount of years that it's happening. So where do I want to sit? Do I want violence and equality, or non-equality and silence, or just talking? So I know which one I would want to pick. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, but it's a case of, people are saying, it's like we're not defending that people are being shot on site for no reason. We're getting angry because, it seems like it's okay to be violent when it doesn't affect
yeah,
you, but it's kind of like when you're fighting for something that is violent, it's kind of like, well, violence isn't the answer. And it's kind of like, well, stop, profiling, stop killing people, stop making your judgment, stop basing society
yeah.
around this ideology that we're villains.
Yeah, it'd be great. It'd be great in the police, which I know this could never happen, but it'd be great in the police how you could walk into one room and it has a green, or is it a red light if you're racist? And how great would that be? It'd be like, man, right out, man. Oh, you're in. It'd be really good, but I know they can't have it. How good would that be? But I think,
but I feel like if I saw, who was it? Was it Chris Rock? He did like a comedy thing, and he was like, if you're a fireman, you got to, you've got to get it right. It's like you can't say, oh, I burnt down this house, but I'll get it right next time. It's kind of like if you're a bad at any other profession, you just chopped.
Yeah.
But with police, it's kind of like, why are we? Oh, we'll investigate that administratively. It's like, why does it?
Again, in the UK, there, Jade, the research with being in police custody for black males is at a disproportionate rate. So about 3% make up the black community, right? And 8% of black males that are in police custody die. Now, there's only one case in 1969 that the police have been accountable and been in prison for. And that was only because, and my facts might be a bit off here, but I believe that they urinated on the individual, the black male. I know that's true. And then they had to be accountable. That was in 1969. There's been God knows how many cases where a black male has been in custody with police and then they've died. But there's only been one case, and that was in 1969, that they've been accountable for. So if 3% is made up of the black community and 8% are dying, that is at a disproportionate rate as well. And then when you go into looking at prisons, it's, I think it's like 30 or 40% or the word BAME that are in there, but that doesn't make up the population in the UK. And then you look at the stop and searches, and then you look at the reasons, and then you look at the knife crime, then you look at the ridiculous term of black on black crime, which doesn't add up, because would you ever say white and white crime? It almost seems comical saying it. If I'm saying white and white crime, you're like, what are you on about? But why wouldn't you say that when, one, that's the majority in the UK, and two, actually a bigger problem in the UK? But again, it just fits the narrative of black on black violence. I think it stemmed from America, maybe, the black on black violence. But it's a strange thing. But yeah, in the UK, man, it's at such a disproportionate rate. The more and more I read, the more and more research
it's in
I'm
your
doing.
face.
I'm like,
it's right there.
And I'm like, so this is public knowledge. This is the government statistics. This is not hidden. Well, it is hidden, but if you want to research it, it's there. It's not in the educational system. But all this information is here, and I'm like, it's a set up to fail. And then
it's so obvious. It's kind of like
to us though, Jade. That's what I'm saying.
But what about these suicides in America? There's like 10 people have committed suicide. They've been lynched, but it's kind of like we know that it's not that. So
yeah.
Do you know what? Do you know what? It's just like you just know, and everybody knows, but no one's addressing this elephant.
But you could. Thing is, as much as it's obvious to us, to other people, it's not. And I've had conversations with individuals, some white guys who have
genuinely
believe that what I'm saying or what I've been publishing, what I've been doing, is against white people. And now, for me, I'm trying to empower I'm trying to empower everyone. I'm trying to empower. This needs to change. Let's talk about this. Let's have conversations. And again, that's their thought process. So what I would like to do in that situation is get to know why that person is feeling that way and have a conversation. But Jade, not everyone's that understandable, and not everyone wants to talk about this. Want to put the 2 pence in. which is fair, but just don't come at me with it. Like, if you've got that view and you want a conversation, by all means, I will sit down with you and have a conversation. And you know what? If we can't come to if we can't come to an agreement, then it's fair enough. But I would like to sit down with that individual and get their thoughts and feelings, because that makes me understand them and their thought process. And maybe in a way, next time I can approach it or look at it from a different way in order to speak to another person. Do you know what I mean?
Why do you think this pro-black is deemed so anti-white? Do you think that's kind of some deep-rooted guilt or some way to, like, what is that? I don't understand how uplifting black people is shutting down, or deemed as shutting down, white people.
Yeah, because
I can't.
black people are not what I feel like, because it is predominantly let's say a white world. So predominantly all you'll see is white people. Obviously you'll see black people. But what I'm trying to say is the system, the people that push buttons, the 1%ers, they're all predominantly white. So that means that there's a lot more white faces. That means it's used to white conversations. It's used to seeing white. When it gets flipped on the minority of having a moment or a movement of black culture, although the white people love the black culture and they'll love hip hop, they'll love the hairstyles, they'll love being around culture. But when it comes to the people, it's slightly different. I don't really get that, but I'll still listen to your music. I'll still have braids, but I don't want some type of equality. So I think when that gets flipped on its head, it then gets looked at to go, well, you're against white people. You want to uprise when we just want the same, really.
Yeah.
We just want equality. But
we're not asking to take over. We just want to be on the same page, on the same page is something that people don't. It's kind of like, you got a question, why don't you want us on the same page? Because that's what we're asking for. We're not asking to be above and you be below. It's the same page. And I think people are so used to being above in some way that it's, there's people that have said, it's hard to get jobs if you're not a BAME actor these days. And it's kind of like, when you turn on the TV, when you flick every single channel, what do you see? What do you see? So don't make out as if it's hard to get a job when out of 10 people, you will be 9.
Of course, yeah. And I think I said this with Alex, who was last on the show. And what I mentioned to her was, if there is now a law where there needs to be a certain percentage of BAME people within whatever industry, which I think is great, but then a white person would turn around and say, no, I believe the best person should get the job, which I fundamentally agree with. Of course, has that always been the case in the past? No. And if people got the job based on their skin color before this law came in? Absolutely. So to have that equal balance, I think is needed. I just don't see how, if you're feeling angry and upset about that situation, i.e. you feel like a black person or a BAME person has got a job over you, just imagine how it's felt for previous years when that's actually happened. Physical proof when 2 individuals have gone for the job, one white, one black, and predominantly the white person is going to get the job. This is not me just saying it just because I'm feeling sorry. This is actual factual proof. Hence, why do you think this law actually got put in the first place? To give BAME people the opportunity to get up the ladder. And then it talks about the property as well. The property percentages are crazy for black people in terms of owning their own property. It's on a low percentage. I forgot what it was now. I read this article today. It was on The Guardian. I forgot what it was now, what it showed, but it was a very, very low percentage. And that's why predominantly in black areas, black communities, it's working class. So what will happen is you'll get a job, you'll get a well-paid job, and you want to move out of any working class because you want to upgrade. So you move away from the community into a rural white area, and then the cycle continues. So I don't know. I think I really wanted to get you on here because I wanted black women to have more of a voice as well. And I think it's really good that you've come on here.
I really wait. Do you know when you're not? There's so much that I have to say, but I just wish
say
I
it, man. Trying to think
like
what
I
it
can't
actually...
seem to.
I know what you mean.
It's kind of like it's all these experiences that I've got to turn into a vocabulary when a lot of it is just a feeling and
Of
you know,
course.
it's a
Yeah,
lot
yeah,
of it is so internal. It's actually a process to kind of get it
yeah,
out and speak,
yeah.
actually,
And
which I
let's be
didn't
honest, it's an art.
realize.
It's an art as well because
Yeah.
it's not easy. It's not easy for anyone, you know, to come on here and express any type of feelings, whether it's small or
Yeah.
large. So I think it's credit to you anyway. I wouldn't concentrate on what material you need to get out there, but just you actually voicing an opinion. And
Yeah.
hang on, let me just plug this in. Just you actually voicing an opinion and just you actually being on this screen, I think for Black women's empowering in itself. I feel like
Yeah.
not regardless, but the conversations that we're having, the fact that you're a face on here for Black women to see, I think you should pick up yourself, because not every person can do it. Not every person can sit down and have a conversation and actually check themselves as well and think maybe I can't say that, or maybe this or maybe that. So yeah, man, I think I won't concentrate that much on thinking maybe I could have said more, because I do it myself, to be fair. When you hear a point, when you listen to it back and you're like, maybe I should have said that, or
Yeah.
oh, what about that as well? But that's what's open for debate, and that's why you put it out there. You know, if there's conversations that get put about it, you know, then they can have a
Well,
conversation about it.
I hope someone thinks about. I hope anyone that's listening to this kind of goes away and really kind of just take something from it and really think about. It's
What would
just
you like?
about
What would you like them to take from this?
I think it's kind of people. I'd love for people to kind of come from a place of compassion when they meet anyone, no matter where they're from, no matter who they are, and just I'd hope that people can just approach people with an open heart and not kind of have all these things in their mind before they look at someone, because you don't see a person as they are if you let your mind tell you who they are first. And it's kind of like I just want people to wake up and start seeing that we're just,
Yeah, man. Yeah.
we're just human beings all doing
Mm.
the same thing.
And it's not a
Like,
quick fix. It's not a quick fix. I always say it, and I will continue to say it. I think going to the grassroots, that being, I think education is bloody needed. And I think it's not just a go ahead white people and educate. It's Black people as well that need to educate.
yeah,
And educate oneself, because oneself. I don't know who they think I am saying
I
oneself.
liked it. I was here for oneself.
I think go ahead and read some books, do what you've got to do, man. And I would say everyone to empower themselves, because when you're having these great conversations like me and you are having, if it makes one person think about or go ahead and research or ask further questions about whatever, then that's what this platform, I suppose, is for, just to open up a conversation. I think that's needed.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming on, Jade, baby. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Vineyard.